Hi, my name is Karina. I'm here interviewing Deborah, who is my friend. I chose the option 4, the questions that focus on being a first generation student. So, how are you doing today, Deborah?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. A little tired, but you know. So the purpose of this is just a class activity I have to do. As you could tell, you're being recorded. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I consent.
Okay, so the first question, well, all the questions are related to being a first-gen college student, which I know you are. So the first question is, what challenges have you faced as a first-generation college student?
Okay, so I think the main challenge is my parents not knowing how to help me, or not knowing how to help me with like college things, college related stuff, and then also not really understanding how difficult it is, and like yeah. So like my biggest issue is always financial aid. Um, Financial aid is really difficult to like fill out and to understand. So I think like there's a language barrier. So they're like, oh, like I don't really understand what it means, so I'm not gonna try to read it. And it's like me actually speaking fluently English, it's still difficult for me to understand. And like the language used, and also like um, yeah, things like that. And then also um, when there are things that like I need from them for college stuff, like tax forms and stuff, um, like not having 100% like their help. So there's been times where like, oh, I need the 2017 tax forms, and they're like, oh, they're over there, and then I'm like, well, I can't find them. Oh, well, you're not looking hard enough, and I'm like, then it becomes frustrating because it's like um, things that like depend on them. They won't put in the same effort to try to like help me fill out stuff on time and like when I need them then, because I don't think it clicks with them like, hey, this is like actually really important, and this is there's a deadline. It's not just like a homework assignment, you know. So yeah, stuff like that.
Okay, and then you mentioned how like your parents not knowing how to help you or like not being understanding. Do you think that has like affected you in any way, like college wise, academic wise, like forms wise? He's mentioned about FAFSA. I know FAFSA can be hard, especially when you're a first gen and you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you think that has like affected you in any way?
Yeah, definitely. Um, with just like with financial aid, it's very difficult, and I think each school works differently. So I've had to take summer classes, and for like when I'm at CSUN, financial aid is like I understand the process. Like I apply in October, and we'll get the year before, and I get it like for the next school year, right? And it's kind of like clear cut, like financial aid does what they need to do. But for my summer classes, I've taken them at a different college, at a community college. And so I haven't really gotten help from the college themselves on how to like do financial aid and stuff. Um, so it looks different. There's different kind of a process that I have to go through. Like I still don't understand. I've had to pay out of pocket for my community college because I don't know how to do the financial aid for that school. And so with that, it's come to like the point where like when I did try, I told my parents, hey, like I need this and this to in order to like try to get like a scholarship or financial aid um, for this school, and they weren't as helpful, and because I don't know why they chose not to be helpful, and I had to end up paying out of pocket for money that I was saving for something else, and yeah, so it's just like things like that. It's like very difficult.
I totally get that. I can relate like 100%. The second question is, how do you navigate those challenges?
I kind of just deal with them. Um, there isn't really anyone I can talk to about those challenges. Um, yeah, so like, again, to this summer, I ended up having to email my advisor for CSUN and telling them. So the reason that I need to do summer classes is for my program. I'm in a cohorted program, so I have to take specific classes at a specific time.
Mm-hmm.
And so my advisor was making me take those 2 summer classes, and I emailed my advisor and I was like, hey, like, I really can't. I don't have the financial means to take these classes. I'm not getting any support to take these classes. And he was like, okay, you can just add them to your semester, to your fall semester. And then I was like, well, I'm already taking 18 units. I can't add another 6 units. I literally cannot do that.
Yeah.
And I'm already stressed out as it is. And he was like, well, let me know what you do. I got no like help. Yeah, I didn't get any help. So I ended up having to sacrifice my savings for my college courses for the summer, and I ended up taking them anyways. But yeah, so I would have appreciated some help on that.
What year are you?
I'm a 3rd year with senior standing.
Okay. So throughout your college experience, I know you mentioned that you said you wish that like you had help. Is there any person or any like professor or faculty that like you have reached out for help or tried reaching out for help?
Whenever I mean, it's different. I think there are definitely like faculty who I've like tried to reach out to, but for like different things in college.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like whenever I personally reach out to someone for something, I always end up getting in trouble, or like something negative comes out to it. So like I've kind of been done
Okay.
asking for help. So like there was a semester where I didn't get along with a professor, and I reached out, and it just ended up being a whole process where like I was gonna have to be in meetings and stuff, and I was like, I just needed to express like how I was feeling and like tips on like how to go about that, and it just ended up being a much bigger issue that didn't need to happen and stuff. So it's kind of turned me away from like reaching out to someone when I need help.
Okay. And then you mentioned saying how like you feel like you can't talk to anyone, but do you feel that like you have friends that are possibly in the same situation as you, or like feel the same that you do?
I would say, of course, there's like friends who feel the same way, but in my personal experience, it just feels like if I like tell a friend something, and this is just in my whole life, like if I reach out to a friend for something that I need, or like things that I'm feeling, it kind of feels like my feelings aren't really validated at all times. Like it becomes more of like a them thing, and like I now need to help them. And so I just like I tend to keep it to myself, and that's not really good, but I do that. Yeah, especially with like my cohort, because we all are we go through the same process, right? We have to take the same classes at the same time, and it's like, I know that like when I was like, I don't have these $300 to like pay for my summer school, my friend was like, I know, my dad doesn't either, but it's like, but her dad ended up paying for it, and I was like, well, that's a little different, because like your dad actually paid for it. I paid for it myself because my parents didn't want to save money for me. Like, so it gets a little tricky, and it's like a competition when it shouldn't be, but it is.
So you feel like you have, even though it could be like similar like challenges you face against like your peers, you feel like you're just still different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. So the third question, what benefits do you think there are, if any, to being a first generation student?
I can't think of any good benefits, because there's a thing of like, you can argue, oh, like first gen, like usually you get like specific resources for first gen supposedly, but those resources are necessary because the way that school is set up is like if you aren't first gen, like you like school should be easier for you, you know, so like that's why you need those resources. But also I don't always think that those resources are as accessible and as helpful as they should be. Yeah, so I don't really think there's anything really positive about being first gen other than like, oh, you're like proud of yourself because I'm the first in my family to go to the college. But it's like it's also made it more difficult and stressful. If anything, it's just in the future I hope to help like my family, like my kids or my nieces and nephews, to be able to do that, to be able to go to college and like really encourage them. I think that's like I'm kind of proud of that because I mean I don't have kids right now, but like a lot of my cousins they didn't go to college, and they do have kids, and those kids are, I think the oldest is like 12, and then they like from 12 to like 4 years old. So I'm lucky and happy enough that I'm going through this now and I'm relatively close to their age, so that literally in 8 years when one of them starts going to college, I can help him through it and like kind of just like give him advice and stuff.
Okay. Do you feel like, because it sounds like I feel that like being a first gen and like all of the challenges that comes with it, it feels like you probably had to like mature or like grow up like sooner than you would like or have expected. Do you feel like that's a benefit, or do you feel that's not a benefit?
I don't know, because I think there are definitely some times where I feel like I've definitely matured, and I would say that I am independent, from just like personal things. But I think that I'm at the age where people don't take me seriously because as of like right now, this interview, I'm still 19. And so people don't know your struggles, so they think that I'm a child, and don't think that like I am mature, even though I am. Like it doesn't matter what I do. Yeah, I've had multiple discussions with like one thing, like my freshman year of college, I was with my cousins, and one of my cousins, we were having a conversation, and she shut me down, and she was like, "The adults are speaking," and I was like, "Well, on the technicality, I am an adult, but it doesn't matter my age. It matters like what's reasonable and logical in this conversation." But because of my age, just the age, it literally does not matter who you are as a person. But your age, people will treat me like a child, and I think it's also prevalent in my workspace. Yeah.
So do you think that's a disadvantage, a benefit, not a benefit?
I don't know. I think my maturity is a benefit when it comes to like work and like school. So like I'm a student leader in housing, and so I think my maturity is helpful in that like my sophomore year I was an academic mentor, so like I had some role in housing, and my floor was full of freshmen, so these residents were a couple months younger than me, yet my maturity allowed me to be in a position of somewhat power, to like be their mentor and stuff. So I think in that aspect it's helpful. Yeah, but I think it doesn't matter. At the same time, it doesn't matter how mature I am. Like older people will still treat me like a child.
Okay, that makes sense. So the last question is, what advice would you give to a first generation student in high school?
I would say, I mean, if I know them, I would help them. I really would. I know, like, my freshman year, for my senior year of high school, I struggled so much with applications and stuff, where like I would reach out to my friends who were a year older than me. I reached out to them to like help me with applications and stuff, things that I didn't understand, like when does financial aid come in, like when do I have to pay tuition, like with all those I looked at those who were a grade level higher than me. And then when I was a freshman in high school, I helped those seniors, and I would post on my social media. I was like, to my seniors, like, if you need help, please reach out to me. And like many of them came to CSUN, and so like I was able to help them specifically for CSUN. And like so to those seniors, I would say like find someone who gets it, who's like exactly like in your position but a little bit older. Because I don't know, like I feel like reaching out to counselors and stuff can be helpful at times, but I don't think anyone understands your struggle like someone who has just been through it. Because like college also changes a lot, and so like an advisor or a counselor who was in college like 20 years ago might not have the same experience as someone who literally just went through the same application process as you a year ago, you know.
With that, what is one thing you wish someone would have told you before entering college?
I don't really know.
Or what is one thing you wish you knew before starting your undergrad?
You're gonna feel alone sometimes, or a lot of the time you're gonna feel alone. But like that's gonna change. Like you might feel like you might be like really low, but like there will also be times where you're at a really good high, and you just have to remember those highs when you get through the lows. And surround yourself with friends. I think that's what's helped me the most. I know that's what's helped me the most throughout college. But then also, even if you have a lot of friends, don't let them distract you. So yeah.
Okay, well that's it. And
Great.
thank you, thank you for letting me interview you. I really appreciate it. No one's gonna see this, just my professor.
Okay.
So we're good. Thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome.